Hello there, welcome back to Talk to Jo. So this is my first live at Talk to Jo from my new office, and you can see it's there behind me. You can see the seating and my lovely whiteboard for working with clients when we need to write stuff up on the wall. So today what I'm talking about is about wisdom, and in particular about taking the blame, and when we want to blame others, what's going on inside us. And I think this is such an important subject. Sometimes when I'm talking to parents, they can get really worried about what's going to happen to their child, and in particular whether they're doing something that's going to really hurt their child in terms of their emotional development. And as I've shared before, I have an inspirational calendar, and it really did inspire me this morning with this thought, with the talk. And this is what it says. It's a quote from Anne Frank, so I shall read it out. It says, "Parents can only give good advice or put them on the right path, but the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands." And that's a quote from Anne Frank. So the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. And this is a path that I've really had to walk on and learn, because especially in counselling, it's so easy when we dig around and look at the reasons why we feel what we feel, to look at the past and to look at what happened to us, and how that formed our character, and perhaps to lay blame at other people's feet. So it might be that we lay blame at our parents' feet, or at the feet of people who perhaps bullied us as children, and we can blame them for the way we feel. And the problem with that is it's actually giving our power away. It's giving our power to be who we are away to our parents or away to the bullies. And that means that we're not taking responsibility for our own experience of life. And I'm going to talk some more about this and try and develop this into a little theme over the next week or so. So I'd sort of say that it's particularly helpful if we feel angry to look at why we're feeling angry, and in our anger what we're actually doing, and are we blaming someone else for our feelings? And I think that's a really important question to ask ourselves. It's so easy to think that it's somebody else's fault, but the way we respond to situations actually lies within our own power. We can actually choose how we're going to respond to circumstances, how we're going to respond to a situation. And if we choose to let other people affect us in those sorts of ways, then I think that means that we're actually giving our power away. We're actually being a victim of that person or those circumstances. And it's really nice, it's really liberating to be able to move away from that, to be able to choose to think in a different way. And if stuff's gone on in the past, to be able to make a decision that we're not going to let that spoil our experience of life. I'm choosing my words carefully here, because obviously sometimes we are real victims because things actually happen to us. So I'm thinking about perhaps someone who's been sexually abused in the past or has suffered some sort of abuse. Of course, they are a victim, but they don't need to remain a victim. And we have an expression where we talk about people both surviving and thriving through what's happened to them. And in actual fact, you can get to the point where you can look back at the past and think to yourself, actually, although I wouldn't wish that on somebody else, in a sense, I'm grateful for what it's taught me. I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned from this particular experience. And that's not to undermine or denigrate the terrible things that people go through. And of course, they shouldn't happen. And it is awful. And obviously, as a counsellor, I do listen to people's stories about how badly they've been affected by what's happened to them in the past. But a lot of what we're doing is learning to come to terms with what's happened in the past, of recognising perhaps how we've used those situations in order to grow, and how they've actually perhaps affected us in ways that we would never have imagined, and learning to reframe that tale so that we can use it for good in our lives. So I'm going to finish there because I've passed my 5 minutes. It's quite a challenging subject, but I will be talking some more about it next week on my live feeds. So if you've sort of found this interesting, please do leave a comment below and we can have a conversation about it. And thanks so much for watching. Bye now.